Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, it's back to the 992. My friend Andy has come over and we're gonna line up his 992 alongside my 991 and talk a little bit about the differences and what we like about each models. Let's go check it out. The brand new 992 generation 911 is absolutely beautiful. The timeless machine. Of course, it comes in all of the usual specs. You get the base, you get the S, you get the 4, the 4S, the coupe, the cabriolet. Not all of the versions are out yet. Like the turbo hasn't been released yet, the GT3 hasn't been released yet, but they're all coming soon. This Carrera 4S puts out 443 horses with a flat 6 twin turbocharged engine. It does a top speed of 190 miles an hour and it does 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. You can get that down to 3.2 if you've got the Sports Chrono package. The changes that have been made to the exterior initially got some mixed reactions, but once the car formally launched, it's been widely received extremely positively. The exterior harks back to a lot of the previous generations. You can see lines and angles and kickbacks to the 997, the 993, the 964, and several other models of 911. It's a modern 911 with classic accents, and I've actually grown to really like it. I was definitely one of the people who were suspicious of the new generation of 911, particularly around the back end. But the more I see it, the more I've sat in them, and then my experience of driving them, once again, Porsche's knocked it out of the park. This 911 is absolutely phenomenal. Hey everybody, so this is my friend Andy. Say hello.
How's it going, guys?
Andy is the owner of this beautiful 992 4S, and I think it goes with my garage so well that I'm going to convince him to let me keep it. We've got red on the wall, we got red on the floor, it looks absolutely insane. And it's alongside my 991. So these cars are 7 or 8 years apart, I guess, in age, about 7 years. They are one generation apart. If you just consider the movement from 991 to 992. And I think if you saw in my previous 992 video and on my podcast, I said that I wasn't a believer at first because it just didn't quite look like I was expecting, I guess. And I had some reservations about the rear end, but having seen Andy's and I've now seen a couple of 992s, I am absolutely a believer. I mean, they're amazing. So how long have you been interested in Porsches?
I would say when I was growing up, I went to the Chicago Auto Show, and I remember seeing the Porsche display over there, and I got one of those free posters. Of course, being a young kid, I put it up on my wall. So I was looking, I think it was a 997 Turbo model. Okay. So I was growing up, just had that poster on my wall, and I said one day I want to have a Porsche of my own, and I've been lucky enough that I was able to get one, and here it is.
So this isn't a red car to you. This means something to you.
It does, yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful car. I love driving it every day. I drive it every day. It is my daily driver.
That's exceptional. And so why the 992 then? Because presumably, you can afford to get yourself a 992. There are still a lot of 991s available. Certainly the second generations. There are a lot of obvious reasons. Most people say, well, I want the newest thing. But what specifically about the 992 do you like?
Sure. I think the obvious thing, obviously, just like you said, that you want the newest and greatest thing. But to me, I'm one of the younger owners, but I do like the tech in the 992 versus the 991. The wireless Apple CarPlay is amazing. It's very functional. It works great. Just the infotainment system. I know they've digitalized a lot of the gauges, although the tachometer is still an analog display. But just it's a more modern car. Versus the 991. Nothing against the 991, but just some of those creature comforts and kind of technology updates probably was the main reason. Obviously, you get the bump up in performance. And I think the looks, it just looks a little bit more modern. Obviously, it's not a revolution, but I think they've just tweaked things just to make it look a little bit more up to date.
Yeah. Well, let's break that down a little bit then. So it's a modern car, but what I've come to discover is that so much of it harks back to the previous generations. And so, we look at the front of the car, and the headlights are brand new, and the headlights are, the modern LEDs, but the contours in the front hood go back to the 993 and the 964, and the angle on the front of the hood, and my 991, it's round. This goes back to the previous generations. So I think that's fantastic. Because you look at the two cars at the front, and there is a big difference if you know 911s. But they've made that they've made that difference and change intentionally. I love that about Porsche.
Yeah.
It's like every generation is a slight evolution from the previous one.
It is, and I would say the only thing initially when I was looking at it is just the amount of plastic they had on the front end. But it's kind of grown on me with the integrated light.
Yeah.
So again, it's just something that's grown on me over time.
Yeah, and like you mentioned in the interior. I'm used to driving the 996, the 997, and the 991, and the instrument cluster is sort of smushed together. You've got the overlapping dials. When I saw that for the first time and thought, well, they've spaced them out, that just looks silly. And then I sat in my friend's 993. That's exactly the way they used to be.
Yep.
That's incredible. And so now you've got digital dials with the analog one in the middle, but they've gone back to how it looked in the 993. I'm actually, can I open?
Yeah.
The interior, the simplicity of the lines by the PCM and the sort of the 5 buttons that you have, I think even though that looks super modern and brand new, that also goes back to the older generation. So I think they've been really clever actually with that.
Yep. And just to add on the gauges, I think there's been a lot said that you can't see the 2 outer gauges, but in everyday use, really you're just going to get your fuel gauge on the far right one, and you can see that in the multifunction display in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't notice, it's not a big issue to me regarding not being able to see it through the steering wheel, but they work.
I didn't notice that at all. When I drove your car, I did look out for that, and I just didn't care. I mean, I think that's people being like super nitpicky.
Yeah.
So how about the rear end? And I've said quite a few times that, like, especially the silver versions look a little bit like a Cylon to me from Battlestar, but it just keeps growing on me.
Yeah, I actually like the rear ends better. Obviously, this is a 4S, and I think back in the older generations, you'd have to get the 4S to get the light bar across, which is kind of standard, and the look is very uniform across the line now. I actually like the rear end better. Again, the plastic on the bottom took a little bit of time to grow on me.
Yeah.
You can get the sports design package with accents, a little bit of body color trim on there, but to me, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
But I like the light bar, and I like how it looks.
Yeah, that does look really nice altogether. I think maybe because this is red and the light bar's red, there's sort of the light bar is a little more integrated, where with the silvers and the whites, it just sort of stands out more. That looks really great. And then with the plastic trim at the bottom, that's just an excuse to tinker with it. I bet you at some point there's going to be a carbon fiber piece of plastic or trim piece that you can put on there. That's awesome. Now, how about the engine bay? Because in my 991, you get to see 2 fans and where you put the oil in. Is that basically the same?
Pretty much the same. We could pop the hood and show you, but yeah, I don't think that part of it they have not changed. I think they've changed some of the location of the intercooler and the airbox, but what you see on the outside is very minimal.
Right. The wide body is it's so pronounced. I love it. So now you've had this car for what, a couple of months?
Had it since September.
Since September. Are you still happy with it? Now you've driven it for a couple of months. Are there any features you maybe would have got if you have gone back another time?
Sure, yeah. Options, one of those things where, it's endless. You could spend, $70,000.
Yeah.
I like it. I think the only thing I would consider is just getting the seatbelts in red. Not a huge
Yeah.
issue. Just to kind of complete the interior look. You know, this is kind of a usable everyday car. You know, I didn't spec a bunch of leather packages or go crazy with a lot of the options. So it's you know, it's a fairly basic 4S, but you know, I'm happy with what I have.
If there is such a thing as a basic 4S. Well, that's just wonderful. Well, thanks so much for bringing it over and having a talk with me.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I just stand here and drool at it for a little longer?
Sure.
Well, I'm all sad and all alone now in the garage. Andy has taken his 992 and he's gone. I tried to convince him to hand over the keys and leave it here. He wasn't having any of it. Thank you, Andy, so much. It was really good to see you and really good fun making a video with you. Well, guys, that was the 992 991 video. I hope you enjoyed it. The cars are just so nice sat next to each other. It really kind of makes me want to figure out, A, how to get a second 911 in this garage, and B, how to sort of run that past my wife to get the green light. So, the week of auto amateur content creation, I don't know, what do you want to call it? The fandango, the circus, whatever it's going to be, all week, making videos, making podcasts, a lot of content coming your way soon. Thanks for checking us out. Write me some comments, send me some feedback, do whatever you do. Tell your friends. Auto Amateur. See you soon. Bye.